respected. If you are listening to this today with tears in your eyes, pain in your heart, and questions that nobody seems able to answer, then this message is for you. Because sometimes life becomes so dark that you cannot see a way forward. But what if the moment you feel all hope is lost is actually the moment your greatest comeback is about to begin? There comes a moment in almost every person's life when they stand at the edge of giving up, not because they are weak, not because they lack talent, not because they don't believe in hard work, but because life has hit them again and again until they no longer recognize the person staring back at them in the mirror. Maybe you know that feeling. Maybe you have worked harder than everyone around you, yet success still seems out of reach. Maybe you trusted people who betrayed you. Maybe you loved someone who walked away. Maybe you prayed for opportunities that never came. Maybe you watched doors close so many times that you stopped knocking. And one day you wake up and ask yourself a painful question. What if nothing ever changes? That question has broken many people. It has stolen dreams. It has buried ambitions. It has convinced good people that their story is over before it even had a chance to begin. But I want you to understand something. Life has a strange way of testing people before revealing their purpose. The hardest seasons often come before the greatest transformations. Think about a seed buried beneath the ground. If that seed could speak, it might believe it has been forgotten. It might believe it has been abandoned in darkness forever. It cannot see the sunlight. It cannot see the flowers it will become. All it knows is pressure, darkness, and isolation. Yet the very thing that looks like burial is actually preparation. Many people quit because they mistake preparation for punishment. They see delays and think they are being denied. They see obstacles and think they are being rejected. They see failures and think they are being defeated. But what if those moments are shaping you for something bigger than you can currently understand? I remember hearing stories of people who lost everything. Their money disappeared, their relationships collapsed, their plans fell apart, their confidence was shattered. They stood in situations where nobody believed in them anymore. And yet, years later, those same people would look back and say something remarkable. If that painful season had never happened, I would never have become who I am today. At the time, they couldn't see it. When you're in the storm, you rarely understand the purpose of the storm. When you're fighting through the darkness, you rarely understand where the darkness is leading you. When you're carrying pain, you rarely understand what that pain is teaching you. You only understand later. And that is why faith is so powerful. Faith is not believing when everything makes sense. Faith is believing when nothing makes sense. Anybody can stay positive when life is easy. Anybody can smile when the money is flowing, when relationships are healthy, when opportunities are everywhere. But who are you when everything falls apart? Who are you when the applause stops? Who are you when nobody is cheering for you? Who are you when the results don't match your effort? That is where character is built. That is where strength is born. That is where real growth begins. The truth is that many people are waiting for life to become easier. But successful people learn something different. They learn how to become stronger because challenges are not going away. Disappointments are not going away. Setbacks are not going away. Life will always test you. The question is not whether difficulties will come. The question is whether you will keep moving when they do. Imagine a man climbing a mountain. Halfway up, a storm appears. The wind becomes violent. The path disappears beneath the snow. Every step becomes painful. At that moment, he has two choices. He can look at the storm and decide to quit, or he can remember why he started climbing in the first place. Many people lose their dreams because they focus too much on the storm and forget the destination. Your circumstances are temporary. Your current struggle is temporary. Your pain is temporary. But if you surrender your dream, that decision can become permanent. Sometimes you have to hold on long enough for life to reveal what it was doing all along, because what feels like the end is often just a chapter, not the whole story. A chapter. And chapters are meant to be turned. There are people listening to this right now who feel exhausted. You have been fighting battles nobody knows about. You smile in public while hurting in private. You encourage others while secretly feeling discouraged yourself. You keep showing up even when your heart feels heavy, and perhaps nobody has told you this lately. That takes courage. Real courage is not the absence of fear. Real courage is continuing despite fear. Real courage is what? Moving forward while carrying uncertainty. Real courage is refusing to quit even when you don't know how things will work out. Sometimes the strongest people are not the loudest. Sometimes the strongest people are simply the ones who refuse to stop, the ones who take one more step, then another, even when they cannot see the finish line, because deep down they understand something powerful. As long as they keep moving, the story is not over. And neither is yours. There is a reason why some people rise from the darkest moments of their lives, while others remain trapped there for years. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is not luck. The difference is not talent. The difference is perspective. When all hope seems lost, your mind becomes the battlefield. The greatest fight is no longer happening around you. It is happening inside you, because there will be a voice that whispers, "Give up," a voice that reminds you of every failure, a voice that points to every disappointment, a voice that tells you that your best days are behind you. And if you listen to that voice long enough, it can become your reality. But there is another voice, a quieter voice, a stronger voice, a voice that says, "Keep going," a voice that reminds you how far you have already come, a voice that refuses to let temporary circumstances define a permanent future. The challenge is that the negative voice is often louder. Fear shouts, doubt screams, worry demands attention. But faith speaks softly, hope whispers. And that is why so many people miss it. Years ago, imagine a young man sitting alone after losing everything he thought mattered. His plans had collapsed. His confidence had disappeared. Every direction he looked seemed blocked. He felt embarrassed. He felt defeated. He felt forgotten. Every morning became harder than the one before. He began comparing himself to others. He watched friends succeed while he struggled. He watched people move forward while he remained stuck. And slowly, he began believing that maybe he simply wasn't meant for greatness. That is one of the most dangerous lies a person can believe, because comparison blinds you to your own journey. You start measuring your chapter 3 against somebody else's chapter 20. You start judging your beginning by someone else's ending. And before long, you convince yourself that you are losing a race you were never meant to run. The truth is that everybody's path is different. Some people bloom early, some bloom late. Some face challenges that others never experience. Some receive opportunities others never see. Life is not a straight line. Life is a winding road full of unexpected turns. The problem is that most people expect progress to look perfect. They expect success to arrive quickly. They expect every step forward to feel rewarding. But growth rarely works that way. Think about a diamond. Before it shines, it endures pressure, extreme pressure. The pressure does not destroy the diamond. The pressure reveals it. And maybe that is exactly what is happening in your life right now. Maybe the pressure isn't here to break you. Maybe it is here to reveal who you really are, because there are strengths inside you that you have not discovered yet. There is courage inside you that has not been tested yet. There is wisdom inside you that can only come through experience. Some lessons cannot be taught. They must be lived. And unfortunately, some of life's greatest lessons arrive wrapped in pain. Pain teaches patience. Pain teaches resilience. Pain teaches gratitude. Pain teaches compassion. Pain teaches strength. Nobody asks for hardship. Nobody wants suffering. But often the people who make the greatest impact in the world are the ones who have walked through the deepest valleys. Why? Because struggle changes you. It forces you to see life differently. It strips away illusions. It reveals what truly matters. When everything is going well, it is easy to take things for granted. But when life knocks you down, you begin to appreciate simple blessings. You appreciate another morning. You appreciate another opportunity. You appreciate another chance to try again. And that mindset changes everything, because every comeback begins with one decision the decision not to stay down. You do not need all the answers today. You do not need a perfect plan. You do not need guarantees. You only need enough courage to take the next step, one step. That is all. Many people become overwhelmed because they focus on the entire mountain, but mountains are not climbed on at once. They are climbed one step at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time, one victory at a time. The person you admire today did not become strong overnight. They faced moments when they wanted to quit. They faced moments when they felt afraid. They faced moments when nothing seemed to work. The difference is that they continued anyway, and every time they continued, they became a little stronger. Every challenge became a lesson. Every setback became preparation. Every failure became experience. Eventually, what once looked impossible became achievable. Not because circumstances suddenly changed, but because they changed. That is the secret many people overlook. The greatest transformation is not around you, it is within you. When your mindset changes, your life begins to change. When your beliefs change, your actions begin to change. When your actions change, your future begins to change. That is why you must guard your mind during difficult seasons, protected from hopelessness, protected from negativity, protected from the voices that tell you that you cannot succeed. Because what you repeatedly tell yourself eventually becomes what you believe, and what you believe eventually becomes how you live. If you believe the story is over, you stop fighting. If you believe there is still hope, you keep moving. And as long as you keep moving, possibilities remain alive. Remember this. You have survived difficult days before, days you thought would destroy you, moments you thought you would never recover from. Yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still fighting. That alone is proof that you are stronger than you think. There is something powerful that happens when a person reaches the point where they have nothing left to lose. At first, it feels terrifying. The plans are gone. The certainty is gone. The comfort is gone. The future that once seemed clear has disappeared. And for a while, it feels like life has abandoned you. But then something unexpected begins to happen. You start discovering parts of yourself that comfort never revealed. You begin finding strength that success never taught you. You begin realizing that you are capable of surviving far more than you ever imagined. Many people spend years building a life based on what others expect from them. They chase approval, they chase acceptance, they chase validation. They spend so much energy trying to fit into someone else's idea of success that they lose sight of who they truly are. Then life shakes everything. The job disappears, the relationship ends, the dream falls apart, and suddenly they are forced to ask a question they have avoided for years. Who am I when everything I depended on is gone? That question can change your life. Because sometimes the things you lose are the very things preventing you from finding yourself. Think about that for a moment. What if the closed door wasn't a punishment? What if it was protection? What if the opportunity that disappeared was making room for something better? What if the person who walked away created space for the people who truly belong in your life? Most people only understand these things in hindsight. While they are living through the pain, they see only loss. Years later, they see purpose. Years later, they see wisdom. Years later, they see why certain things had to happen the way they did. Life often makes sense looking backward, but it must be lived moving forward. That is why faith matters so much, not because it guarantees an easy journey, but because it gives you the courage to continue the journey. There was once a period in a man's life when every plan he had created seemed to fail. He worked hard but saw little reward. He stayed committed but received little recognition. He gave his best effort but faced one setback after another. Eventually, frustration turned into exhaustion, and exhaustion turned into doubt. Every day became a battle between hope and disappointment. One evening, sitting alone, he looked at his life and thought he had reached the end. He believed he had missed his chance. He believed success belonged to other people. He believed his dreams were too far away. But then something changed. Not his circumstances, his perspective. He realized that he had spent years focusing on what he lacked instead of appreciating what remained. He still had another day. He still had another opportunity. He still had a dream. And as long as those things existed, his story wasn't finished. That realization became a turning point because hopelessness survives on focus. Whatever you focus on grows. Focus on problems, and problems appear bigger. Focus on fear, and fear becomes stronger. Focus on limitations, and limitations become overwhelming. But focus on possibilities, and possibilities begin to emerge. This doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to allow reality to define your future. There is a difference. A person can acknowledge difficulty while still believing in a better tomorrow. A person can face challenges while still choosing hope. A person can feel fear while still moving forward. The strongest people are not those who never struggle. The strongest people are those who refuse to surrender to struggle. And every great comeback in history began with somebody refusing to quit. Before every victory, there was uncertainty. Before every breakthrough, there was frustration. Before every success story, there was a season when success seemed impossible. The audience only sees the triumph. They rarely see the tears. They rarely see the lonely nights. They rarely see the moments when giving up felt easier than continuing. But those moments exist in every meaningful journey. Every champion has them. Every leader has them. Every dreamer has them. The question is not whether you will face difficult seasons. The question is what you will do during them. Will you allow hardship to convince you that you are defeated, or will you allow hardship to develop the strength that victory requires? Because strength is not built during easy days. Strength is built when you choose courage despite fear. Strength is built when you keep going despite uncertainty. Strength is built when you continue believing despite setbacks. And one day, often, when you least expect it, everything begins to make sense. The lessons, the struggles, the delays, the disappointments, you begin seeing how every challenge prepared you for something greater. You begin understanding that the person you are becoming is more important than the circumstances you are facing. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. Your current situation is not your final destination. This chapter is not the end of your story. The darkness is not permanent. The storm is not forever. The pain is not eternal. As long as you are alive, there is still another page waiting to be written. As long as your heart is beating, there is still another opportunity waiting to be seized. As long as you can take one more step, there is still hope. And sometimes, one more step is all it takes to change everything. And so, my friend, as this message comes to an end, I want you to remember one thing above all else. The darkest hour is never proof that the sun will not rise. It is simply the final stretch before the light returns. Right now, you may be carrying burdens nobody understands. You may be fighting battles you never expected to face. You may be standing in a place where the future feels uncertain and hope feels distant. But do not make a permanent decision based on a temporary season. Do not let one chapter convince you that the entire story is finished, because your life is bigger than this moment. Your purpose is bigger than this pain. Your future is bigger than your current struggle. One day, you will look back on this season and realize that it was not the end, it was the beginning of your strength, the beginning of your growth, the beginning of a version of yourself that could never have existed without the challenges you faced. The storms you survived become the stories that inspire others. The battles you overcome become the wisdom you share. The pain you endure becomes the strength that carries you forward. Every setback has taught you something. Every disappointment has made you wiser. Every obstacle has made you stronger, even when you could not see it happening, even when it felt unfair, even when it felt impossible. Life was preparing you, shaping you, building you. And one day, the very things that made you cry will become proof of how far you have come. So if you feel tired, rest if you must, but do not quit. If you feel discouraged, pause if you need to, but do not surrender. If you feel afraid, acknowledge the fear, but do not let it control your future. Keep moving, keep believing, keep trusting, keep taking one more step, because the person who changes their life is rarely the person who never struggles. It is the person who refuses to stop struggling, the person who keeps showing up, the person who keeps fighting, the person who keeps believing when there is no evidence yet. And that person can be you. Starting today, choose hope over despair. Choose faith over fear. Choose persistence over surrender. Choose to believe that your best days are not behind you. They are still ahead of you. Because no matter how dark the night becomes, morning always comes. No matter how fierce the storm becomes, it eventually passes. And no matter how hopeless things may seem today, your story is not over. You still have dreams to chase. You still have mountains to climb. You still have lives to touch. You still have greatness within you waiting to be revealed. Stand up one more time. Believe one more time. Try one more time. Fight one more time. Because sometimes the greatest miracle happens right after the moment when you almost gave up. And when that day comes, when you finally reach the